And then when COVID hit, this idea just came through me, and I was like, I need to do it. So I have no idea how I did it because I had never made clothes, but this urge to create just overtook. One of the main things that I really appreciate about Lawrence is that he has this innocence and childlike nature that really like light up a room.
Thank you, and thank you. Group hug. Group hug.
That's the other very Ubudian thing, is we love group cuddles.
Love you.
Yo, let's talk about your spiritual ego. Nipple hanging out from your linen kimono. Tantra colada got you feeling sexy. Yeah, it's time for Ubud on tea at the Kruta.
So we've just had a parade of amazing men to talk to.
And finally,
And finally, we are going to bring an amazing priestess, a woman, my queen, the woman that I love, that I've been bestowed by God, the gods, that she actually pays attention to me and chose me, and I chose her, and I have a beautiful rose waiting for you, my dear. Ladies and gentlemen, she is a priestess. She is a life coach. She is one of the best yoga teachers that I've ever experienced, and she's also the owner of one of the most amazing legendary yoga studios. Is that a good presentation introduction? One of the best yoga studios on the planet, on the island, and in Ubud, radiantly alive. Ladies and gentlemen, the woman who I love more than anything, Jasmine Danino. Here, baby.
that's a beautiful introduction.
Thank you. So you can wear this if you like, then you'll be able to hear yourself, just to get a sense. You don't have to. Most of the people weren't wearing it. Okay. But just make sure you're speaking into the microphone.
And it's funny because I was just talking about like how here we're a bubble and we interview people that we know personally, and now we just have your partner here.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I like the word priestess.
I like it too for you. And
Very Ubudian.
very, very, very Jasminian. One of the things that is so spontaneous, and this is how Alex and I wanted the show to have spontaneity and improvisation, is the fact that you're on the show. Because like in the preparation for the show, we've been like, okay, like you'll get your own show and you'll get it in time, and like we'll wait for it, and it happens that you've been here, and it just makes sense. Yeah, thank you for being here. You've lived in Ubud, my dear, for how long?
I've been here for over 7 years, so it's been amazing to see, Bali and Ubud evolve, and in that evolution, like it's also been like an incredible transformation for me as well. I feel blessed to live on this island. Like every day, I just give thanks because, like many of your guests said, Bali welcomes you. And not everyone can actually really have the pleasure to live on this island for so many years. And I feel blessed to not only live here, but have an incredible life project that just inspires me every day to be creative and to, serve our community and just to let my dreams go wild. I know a lot of the people that came here talked about, Bali being like a creative bubble. And for sure, that has felt like that for me.
And it's cool because we talked also about people in Ubud doing stuff, like having businesses and creating, and I feel you're definitely one of them, especially with the Radiantly Alive studio. So how do you navigate being an entrepreneur in Ubud? Do you find it easy to work here, or hard to put the work in?
There's so many layers to that question. Let's say that on one level, having a business in Bali is not easy. There's a lot of things that one has to learn how to navigate. And on another level, it's just magical because if I own the studio in any other place in the world, the creative process or the team that I would have wouldn't be the constellation of people that I have now. You know, the community that shows up wouldn't be the community that shows up now. And I literally feel like it's my playground in the sense of I have freedom to create. There's no limits. There's no restriction to the creativity that can happen into creating. But of course, in that space, there's also a lot of you need structure, and there's a lot of things that happen along the way that make it hard to put it into action. But in the end, like, the Bali magic is what is like the driving force into, like, no matter the obstacles, no matter all of that shit that makes it hard, there's like this passion to just like put it out there. And that's the fire and the drive that I feel like many people here just feel like you're put on this earth to just create. Like, you don't, at least this is how I feel, like I don't own my ideas. Like, these ideas or these visions just like come through, and sort of like I've been like chosen to like put them into reality. So I don't have a choice. You know, we don't have a choice. It's like create and do, and let's find a way, because in some way or another we're serving people with our creations, with our ideas, with your podcast, with your concert, with your medicine music, with your yoga class. Everyone here is in service, and that's beautiful.
What I wanted to point out, that I tried to point out, and then we had a little technical stuff, is this woman is not only a yoga studio owner and a brilliant yoga teacher and a mother, we haven't even mentioned that too, and a priestess and a Peruvian goddess, medicine woman, what have you. But something that you can do here in Ubud, but it doesn't mean that everybody does it, is she has her own clothing line. It's called Icha Shakti. It's beautiful. It's very elegant. It's sexy. How do you find time, and also how do you find like the creativity to do things like be the programmer and the visionary of a yoga studio, a mother, and at the same time do this line? Like, are there overlapping skills where it feels like one thing, or are they like things that you're literally having to separate and compartmentalize? There's a word for us.
Well, it's clothing and jewelry. Don't forget the things that I'm wearing now. There's all my brand. Look, I don't want to lie saying that all is flow and all is easy, because it's not. And one needs structure, but I feel like more importantly, there needs to be passion. And at least for me, I always imagined myself at one point in my life having my clothing brand, because I used to play around like with fabrics when I was 15. But I never really imagined that I was capable of launching a clothing brand. And then when COVID hit, this idea just came through me, and I was like, I need to do it. So I have no idea how I did it, because I had never made clothes, but this urge to create just overtook the process, and I found my way. In a way, I feel like many times our mind and the logic like takes us out of the process and doesn't allow the creativity to come through. So, and the process was messy, and it's supposed to be messy, you know. I'm sure you guys know about messy processes.
She's laughing at us right now. She's literally making fun of the episode that will never get published.
But let's say that, how do I manage all of these little mini universes that I have? I would say that I try to find, when I find inspiration and I'm feeling inspired, that's where I take action and I put my energy in whatever needs to be taken care of. And at the same time, I need some type of foundation and structure that allows me to be able to compartmentalize it's a hard word. My time.
Lots of syllables.
So that everything is taken care of. But the more that things evolve and flow, all of these offerings start to merge and they blend into one. So my clothing and jewelry brand, I sell them at the studio, and yeah, my offerings are at the studio. Like, as time will go by, everything will just be one, and it will all be merged. At least that's my vision.
Yeah, thanks, Jasmine. Also, to talk a bit about Radiantly Alive as well in Ubud, and it's quite an iconic place too. And you've had, for example, I've been seeing a Hanuman project there, and you have a lot of great events. You've been there for a bit. I'd be curious, how would you say Radiantly Alive has been part of the soul of Ubud as we know it today? What did it bring to Ubud?
The first time that I came to Bali, I was just a Peruvian traveling, stepped into the studio, and I felt the energy of the place, and I said, I need to do my teacher training here. And I just felt the call. And I spent 3 days practicing at the studio, only 3. And my life was changed. I felt a connection that I had never felt before. And just as myself, we have people spending weeks at the studio, or just days or months, and literally their lives change in front of us. Like, every day, like, people come up to us and say, I just want to thank you because Radiantly Alive changed my life. People come to the studio when they're searching for meaning in life, or they are in need of a community, or they are searching for connection, and they feel held.
But I would say that would be probably a lot of yoga places, right? Is there something that made Radiantly Alive like unique compared to another yoga place? Because there are a few yoga places around Ubud.
You know, I'm biased. The thing is,
give the bias answer.
the thing is, there's a special energy at Radiantly Alive. It feels like home. There's a very loving energy and welcoming energy, and it's a big studio, but it isn't huge. So the energy feels contained and welcoming. So maybe if you might feel overwhelmed to step into a universe that feels too out of your comfort zone, I feel like people that come to Radiantly Alive are looking for a more intimate space and a community and more one-to-one connection. And that's what they find, and much, much more.
Thank you.
Good answer. It's an interview. We're interviewing my girlfriend. It's really cool to have you here, and it's really cool to listen to you speak. You know, like Jasmine can be a mother. Like, she can spend her time at home or focusing on the things that are very adult oriented, and to hear you and to give you this seat and give you this platform, I think it's really cool, and I'm really looking forward to you continuing to develop that. I think it's going to be really cool. Do you have dreams about having a platform like that from childhood, or is this something, like, when you speak to passion, is this a passion that you've always wanted to express, or is this something that's just kind of cultivating through time and space?
No, in the sense of, like, I had no idea this was going to be my life, you know, and this is something that I always share with people. It's like, let life surprise you. I had no idea I was going to end up here in Bali, owning a yoga studio, being so passionate about being a yoga teacher, having my clothing brand. It's like, you know, I just wanted to make my life work in Bali and leave my corporate life. You know, I've lived my entire life in Lima. Like, I had a city life. I was just programmed in a way to, you know, climb the corporate ladder, and I was happy. Everyone that saw me, like, I was happy, you know, I was happy, but I wasn't really, like,
I wanted more.
Yes,
Story of the Ubudian.
I wanted more, but I didn't like visualize it.
Yeah.
I didn't visualize it. I just allowed myself in the process to listen to the messages that the universe was sending me. Even though this sounds Ubudian, it's right. You know, I allowed myself to feel my intuition as I stepped into this yoga studio, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna become the owner of this studio. This sounds crazy, but I just know. And then like a year later it happened. Or just having this vision of Icha Shakti. This is a name of my clothing brand. I have no idea how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it. And Bali, and especially Ubud, gives ourselves permission to like be crazy, you know?
Yeah.
So in other places in the world, whatever we do is crazy. Here, it's not crazy. So I've allowed myself to explore that creative and intuitive side. And luckily, I have people around me that are like cheerleading this, you know, playful, creative side along the way. And everyone's a bit crazy. So you need to be a bit crazy to do these things.
Unless you're already a bit crazy and then you just get to be more crazy. I think that that's what Ubud has created for me, is that opportunity. When I listen to you talk, and I'm happy to stretch this interview as long as possible. I just feel like you're like at home, and I am biased, but you know, it is what it is. But what I wanted to find out is, because you have such a understanding of the corporate life, the way that you explain it and talk about it, and also you've like one of the, I wouldn't say few, but it doesn't happen every day when somebody transmutes that life, that like matrix life, like Alex was talking about earlier, to Ubudian life. Like, and you have, in some sense, in terms of having various entrepreneurial projects. What would you say to somebody? And I think of like my mom or my sister that live in this like suburban life and in first world. What would you say to somebody that is sitting at home and just has no clue what goes on here, without like, without introducing them, without being like, you got to come here, right? They don't have to come here. Life is good and it works wherever it is. But like, just to give them a sense of what really goes on here, because maybe they wouldn't imagine it. Because like you said, visualize it.
Yeah. I think first of all, one thing that I would say is like, you have to be able to enjoy or be okay with the void, you know, like being okay with not knowing what's going to happen. Because if you're not okay with that, you won't really want to take the leap into coming to Bali and like really not knowing what's going to happen, you know? So if there's not that to start, you're not really going to be able to like enter Bali in a mind space where you're open to like possibilities, you know? So that would be like step one, you know, which is hard. It's the hardest part. And for many people, sometimes this uncertainty or this void is like sort of like forced. And in a way, I made this happen in my life, but I just stepped into a few years where I had no idea what I was going to do next. And then like what they find here is like there is permission to be yourself. And like taking it one step back, you give yourself permission to find yourself. Like, what exactly do I want? Not what I was told that I need in life, but like, what do I want? Like, do I really want to be sitting in that office like 8 hours a day?
I think you want to.
And doing that job? Maybe yes, and that's fine. Or maybe no. But it's like opening the mind into what actually do you want to create as a lifestyle and as your life. Hello, we actually have a choice. You know, we have a choice in recreating our reality, but it won't be easy. But are you ready for this journey? You have the tools inside yourself to create it. And you'll meet incredible people here that will support you on this journey. And at least what I've learned is that if you tap into like your purpose in life and your dharma, and that is what I believe in, like every one of us is put on this earth to like birth something or more than one thing. So if you give yourself permission to really ask the questions that you need to ask yourself, you'll tap into what it is exactly that you're meant to be on this earth. And when you find that, everything starts to like flow. You know, the right people will come into your life. The process will slowly start to unfold, and you'll feel supported because like the earth, life wants abundance and wants you to serve humanity. So it'll just be meant to be. If it's not meant to happen, it's not meant to happen.
And I really love that you share that, because of course you have your own special way to have evolved from that. But when you speak these words, I also feel like I feel so much resonance, and I feel so many people who live not only in Ubud, but it could be for this also Canggu or more entrepreneurial places, let's say, but combining that spiritual quest with like life of freedom. It's like, I know when you share your story, I can so much resonate, and I feel so many people would.
Thank you.
At the risk of asking one question too many, because I might do that, you have your own interview kind of show on the Radiantly Alive Instagram. You call it Radiantly Raw. So you're sitting here with myself and with Alex, you know, and if you were to interview us, do you have a question that you might ask us as the hosts of Ubud on Tea, maybe as like up and coming personalities in the self-development spiritual world, as a crypto course seller, like what have you?
I love it.
Okay, cool.
You know what I do when I ask questions? I just tune into what is already in the field. So what I would ask you guys is, what do you think, Lawrence and Alex, is your dharma or purpose in this life?
Deep question.
I go deep straight away, sorry. But make it short and sweet. You know, you guys want it short and sweet.
She knows how to do it in a way that
You've had guests that talk too long, right?
And she also is like prepared for us. Yeah. I'll answer.
That's a dangerous question. You might get a very long answer.
Short and sweet.
I'll answer, and then I'll give it up to Alex, and I'll keep it short and sweet. And I'll say this, that for me, when people ask me that question, especially recently, sometimes I freeze. That's a big question, you know? And I'll freeze and I'll be like, I don't know. And I freeze and I sweat, and I'm like, and I get mad at myself and frustrated. But maybe it's the field, maybe it's the tea. Is that your phone?
I don't know.
No, mine is in plane mode.
Okay. Maybe it's my phone.
Maybe that's the universe.
It's a frequency.
Yeah, it's just like, so to talk slower. But what I'll say is this: my dharma is to create a mirror for people to see themselves. To create a mirror for people to see themselves, and that is also my own personal dharma for myself, is to continuously be or create the mirror so I can see myself. Thank you for asking that question. Thank you.
Alex.
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's the kind of questions people ask each other quite a bit in Ubud. So I've been evolving. It's always evolving, but what I would say, to me, I have like a twofold dharma. I think one is quite selfish in a way, is I descended here to enjoy life, to be in this body, and to have a good time, to have fun. And even when I do purpose-driven things, to me it's like the most important is that we have fun. Even Lawrence, when we did that podcast, I was like, I always want to go back to one principle, is that we have fun. So that's important. Enjoy that experience. I think that's why we're here, to celebrate life, in the knowing that everything's perfect. So that's half of it, and the other half, that sounds almost contradictory, is that everything's perfect and it's perfectly imperfect, and we live in a world where there's a lot of space for raising the consciousness and creating a better world with more freedom, with more connection between human beings, but also with our planet and with consciousness itself. So I'm also here to help the what I think is anyway happening, but the evolution of our planet towards a more conscious Earth. And I feel that's what we're doing here in Ubud. We're creating a world where there's more love towards the planet, towards human beings. And I come from Paris. I used to work in corporate also, and you don't have so much of that. You don't have so much of that connection to nature, of connection to our own hearts and each other's hearts. So I also want to change the world in that way, like bring it into manifestation the new earth, as we say. And then obviously to go more in details, this how we do it. I think this podcast is a beautiful way to share, and then creating community also, and education for people to learn to have more freedom, more sovereignty. So that's where I'm at. It's like those two, enjoyment and service.
I love it. Thank you for allowing me to ask you guys a question.
No problem. Thank you so much for being on our show. Please follow
Jazz Danino Yoga.
Jazz Danino Yoga. That's on Instagram.
Yes.
And then what other? You also have Radiantly Alive.
Radiantly Alive Yoga is a yoga studio, and Icha Shakti is my clothing and jewelry brand.
Beautiful. Don't forget to pay attention to what we're doing on Instagram, on YouTube, on Spotify, on iTunes, everywhere you can find it. This has been a really nice conversation. Thank you so much.
I have a last cheeky question.
Okay, and then she's got a slurp.
Yeah. I'd love to ask you, what do you love the most about Lawrence?
This might be like a full Jasmine Danino
the
episode.
The conversation got spicy.
I think it is.
There's so many things, but I think one of the main things that I really appreciate about Lawrence is that he has this innocence and childlike nature that really light up a room. And at least for me, I am in a place where I've been doing a lot of projects and work, and it's just beautiful to just be with him and just feel that playfulness in life, and just not take life too seriously and enjoy the beauty, like you said, to just be on this earth and enjoy. So I feel he activates that side of me that is very needed in my life and in the world.
Oh shucks, thank you so much. Thank you. That is really beautiful, and I know that it's a big deal for you to say that out loud and on camera, and so I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you, Alex, for asking that question, and I appreciate you guys for paying attention to what we're doing. Please do me and us a favor and like and subscribe and screen share and do all that stuff.
Can I add to the shower of love?
Okay.
That's also an Ubudian thing, and that's something I love about our community, is sharing gratitude and telling each other why we love each other and what's beautiful. And that's something everywhere in the world I think people should do more, say hey, to their partner, to their children, to their colleagues, to their friends, telling them just, hey, I just really appreciate that about you, and I just wanted you to know. And so I want to share some appreciation for you, Lawrence, also, and I really resonate with what you shared, Jasmine. I think that's why we love you, Lawrence. Yeah, take it in. Receiving, it's not easy to receive compliments.
And watch us on YouTube. And
Thank you, guys. So just like that playfulness for sure. And that's why I'm having fun doing this with you, and that authenticity, that vulnerability that you talked about, which is because we're also in a partnership, Lawrence and I, and we're in that partnership that requires some intimacy and friendship also. And so straight away when there's something, you can have an observer on yourself and know what's been right, what's been wrong. If you And if we need to have a conversation, you'll have it. And if I need to tell you something, you'll receive it. And we can just really share things as brothers. And I think that's why that collaboration can go very far. So thank you, brother.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you. Thank you and thank you. Group hug. Group hug.
That's the other very Ubudian thing, is we love group cuddles.
Love you. Can you slurp your tea so
I
we can
will.
close the show?
I
please?
can.
Here it goes. So excited.
I'm not a tea slurper, but I will slurp my tea for you guys.
She's not a tea slurper.
Peruvian style.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap. Thank you for joining us. We will be back with another episode, and then another episode, and then another episode.